Hi everyone, today we're talking about Etape Australia and whether you should do it, whether it's worth it. Firstly, if you're coming from overseas, unless you're going to be in Australia anyway at the start of December 2016, in my opinion, not worth it. We'll talk about why in a minute. So this video is mainly for the Australians and your decision where to spend your grand fondo dollars. When I first heard about Etape Australia, I was really excited, and when the course and the timing was announced, I became a lot less excited. Here's why. Let's look at return on investment or bang for buck. Firstly, entry is $300 or $295 early bird and $335, that's Australian dollars, after a certain date in April. In my opinion, that doesn't present great value for money. For $300, you could go and do Peaks Gold Coast or Peaks Falls Creek or Peaks Down Tasmania. Much longer ride, much harder. So let's talk about the course itself. There are two choices for a course, which is a bit weird for an Etape. In my opinion, the ride's meant to be in a challenge. It's not supposed to be a participation sportive like a around the bay in the day where you can do a 100k or a 260 or whatever it is. Etape's meant to be hard. You either finish it or you don't. And there should only be one course, that's my opinion. But I guess they're trying to appeal to more people. So the hardest ride is, I think it's about 157k, something like that. By my estimation, it's a bit hard to tell because there's no numbers around how much climbing there is. By my estimation, there's about 2,200 metres of climbing. Now, for a lot of people, that's a Saturday ride. If you go in the hills outside Melbourne or Adelaide or whatever, excuse me, you can do 2,200 metres in 130, 140, 150 k's if you really go hunting. So for me, 157 k's and 2,200 metres isn't a challenge really at all. The climbs on the day, there's two main climbs, the Beloka, which is I think 1k of about 13%, which to me is not really all that hard. It's steep, yes, but it's not super hard. Kosciuszko, the Col de Kosciuszko, is over 20k, so that's a lot more climbing than most people in Australia are used to, but it's like 4%, 4.5%, so it's a really good, easy tempo climb, especially if you have compacts. So for me, the course proper itself, it's not really that challenging. You could go do Peaks Gold Coast and Peaks Falls Creek in particular and get a much harder challenge with sort of 4,500 metres of climbing over 250k. So for me, bang for buck in terms of the course proper, not worth it. Buzz and atmosphere, okay, this is Etape the Tour. It's got the imprimatur or primature, however you want to say it, of L'Etape and the ASO. So of course there's going to be a lot of buzz. L'Etape the Tour, you'll get somewhere between 7,000 and 13,500 people. I think Etape Australia will be lucky to get sort of 1,500 to 2,000. Still a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but I did Peaks Gold Coast in 2015. I think they had about 1,800. You just did not have the atmosphere of 10,000 riders all buzzing out on the road together at the same time. So for me, sure there'll be really good buzz and atmosphere, but it's not going to be the same as Etape the Tour. We'll get some money and spend money to go to Etape the Tour in a minute. Closed roads. Okay, these are going to be on closed roads like Etape the Tour, which is awesome. Most grand fondos in Australia aren't on closed roads, which means you're exposed to the lunatic Australian drivers, so that's a big plus. Timing, it's at the start of December. I mean, it's just bizarre. Tour of Bright, which is a big event, I think it's 500 or 600 riders and, really well patronised. Same weekend probably, last time I checked the dates. So anyone who wants to do Tour of Bright has to choose between Etape Australia or Etape Australia and Tour of Bright. Most people are going to do Tour of Bright, especially if you've got a chance of winning a division. Personally for me, if I had to choose between two, I'd probably do Etape Australia. Location, it's in the snowy mountains. Spectacular, yes. Don't get me wrong, I love the Australian Alps, one of my favourite places in the world to ride, but it's a 7 or 8 hour drive from Melbourne. There's Cooma Airport, sort of nearby. You've got to still hire a car to get there, but the drive from Sydney is something like 4 or 5 hours. Canberra's a few hours. Gold Coast, Adelaide, Perth, Tasmania, Brisbane. You all have to fly somewhere. You're going to have to fly to Melbourne and then drive, or fly into Sydney and then drive. So the travel is ridiculous. I mean, it's not like there's a train station, a TGV station you can just bowl up to. So for me, the location is really puzzling. For me, it should have been in Adelaide. Lots of climbing outside Adelaide, start and finish in the same place if you want. Hard enough course, and Adelaide Airport's right there. Similarly, could have been in Brisbane, lots of climbing outside Brisbane, could have been in the Gold Coast hinterland, lots and lots of choice for climbing and courses outside the Gold Coast. So for me, the location is really bizarre. And timing, started December, I mentioned it before, but Australia basically shuts down for 4 weeks from the middle of December till the middle of January or end of January. So people are taking leave then. It's our summer holidays. So, you know, this thing's going to require people to take somewhere between 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 days off, depending where you come from. So, you know, if you got to go to your boss, and, you know, hopefully your boss is reasonable, you say, I've got to take a week off for this cycling event, and then I got Christmas. So, you know, hopefully good luck with that. But then there's also the consideration of, do you want to burn some of your annual leave just before Christmas? So for me, the timing's really curious and peculiar, actually, is probably a better word. You know, it could have been any time of the August. Peaks Challenge is August in on the Gold Coast, which is the driest time of year. People escape from the southern winters. So yeah, timing's weird. What's the last thing? Timing, location. Lastly, if you need to think about where you're spending your dollars, I personally think you'd be better off, if you want to stay in Australia, doing Peaks Gold Coast in particular. Peaks Falls Creek still got the driving problem, but very well patronised. Or really, if you've got money to spend, and lots of people do, you could spend $4,000 or $5,000 and go and have a month in France. Do Etape Tour, Tour de France, do La Marmotte, depending on timing, maybe as well. Duck into Italy. Lots and lots of options. It's France. It's La Tour. It's just the atmosphere and buzz and the spectacle is amazing. Or you could spend sort of $500, $1,000, maybe $1,500, flights, all that sort of stuff, doing Etape Australia. For me, the cost imperative, I would be off to Europe in a flash. That sort of money to go and do Etape Australia, especially when it's not a hard course, isn't worth it. So what it comes down to is, you've got the money to spend, if you've got ample leave, you don't care, willing to spend the cash, go and do Etape Australia. It'll be a great day, great scenery, it'll be a nice course, great bars, closed roads, all the Etape pageantry and carnival atmosphere. It'll be great. But if you're a bit more discerning with your spend, like I am, just because you like a better return on investment, I'd be saving my money up and doing L'Etape de Tour in Europe, or Peaks Challenge Gold Coast, or Peaks Challenge Falls Creek. Hope this helps. Not trying to be a downer on Etape Australia, it's great. I just think it needs a bit of tweaking to really dial in its awesomeness. If you like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, links down below, links to an Etape Australia article down below. See you next time.